For a look now at the reaction in Cyprus, we are joined on the phone by Marshall Gittler. He's head of global FX strategy at Iron FX Financial Services. He joins us on the line from Limassol, Cyprus. And Marshall, thank you very much for joining us. Give us a sense
of
what people are feeling right now on the ground in Cyprus. We have seen pictures of lineups at ATMs, so forth. Are people really worried?
Well, people aren't very happy because, of course, nobody likes something like this happening. But, of course, people don't understand the counterfactual. They don't understand what would have happened if this didn't have happened. So this is why you have representative democracy. I think the fact is this is a very good plan. I think it's a great achievement that they've come up with this plan. And it's, I think, the best thing for Cyprus. It's not a good thing in itself, but it's the best thing under the circumstances.
How is it the best thing under the circumstances? Again, many of the concerns that are being raised by investors over here and bond investors and so forth is that it raises the concern that bank deposits might be taxed elsewhere. If it happens in one place, in this case Cyprus, why not Spain? Why not Italy if things get bad enough there?
Well, first off, let's say what would have happened if they hadn't come to an agreement. If they hadn't come to an agreement, two major banks here in Cyprus would have failed almost instantly. The government would have been stuck with 30 billion euros of debt, which it can't possibly pay back. And instead of having a 9.9% haircut, people would have wound up with almost a 100% haircut. They would have lost everything because the deposit insurance program would have been bankrupt. So that would have been much, much worse. Secondly, I don't think this is applicable to Spain or the other countries. If they were thinking of doing something like that in those countries, they would have done it long ago. The fact is, no other country in Europe has the kind of banking sector that Cyprus has, where a third of the deposits are from overseas depositors, and where the banking sector is about 8 times, the bank deposits are about 8 times GDP. Oh, Luxembourg has a similar situation, but it just really isn't applicable. So why would they do it to other countries?
So what role does that actually play, the fact that so many of the deposits are from overseas?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
How important is it, the fact that so much of the deposits are from overseas? How does that really factor into the decision to levy these taxes?
Oh, I think that's key. Really, the decision to levy the taxes was taken in Germany. Do you know the golden rule? Do you know what the golden rule is? The golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rules. And Germany really is in the driving seat here. They have their view of what's going on is profligacy. It's not true, but that's what they think, and they insist on getting on some penalty in exchange for the bailout, which is only natural. They don't want to be seen as the suckers paying up for everyone. So they were the ones who insisted on this, probably because they see so much money coming in from abroad and just wonder what's going on.
How bad could this get? It doesn't sound like you think it is going to get all that much worse, that the roiling that we see in the markets today might be it.
No, on the contrary, they've delayed the vote here in Cyprus about this until tomorrow evening. I think that's the government trying to put together a consensus. Meanwhile, they've softened some of the measures. For example, I think people with deposits of under 20,000 euros will not be levied at all. And that's probably the majority of the voters. So and there seems to be a general consensus congealing around that. And I think with that, it will pass, and people will realize, okay, it isn't nice that somebody had to pay, somebody will pay, and the result of that is that Cyprus's debt to GDP burden is bearable. Whereas if the government had been saddled with all the debt, the debt to GDP ratio would have been up at 143%, which is not sustainable. As is, it will just go to 93%, which is almost the EU average. The EU average is 90%. So they can deal with it.
So what is the fallout going to be for the euro, for the currency and the broader currency markets while this gets resolved, while a vote gets put off, and then eventually what sort of volatility are we likely to see for the euro currency as well as the broader market?
Well, I've seen euro dollar seems to have been rebounded already. I think it's seen the lows on this event, unless it looks like it isn't going to pass. Then we're in a whole new ball game. but I would expect it to rebound back to the 130 level when it passes. I think people are just being nervous about something that might happen but shows no signs of happening.
Right. Okay, Marshall, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That's Marshall Gitler, Head of Global FX Strategy at Iron FX Financial Services. He joined us on the line from Limassol, Cyprus.